You, keep it down. I'm literally hiding in the break room right now. You guys are not going to believe what's happening on the floor. So I took this graveyard shift at a vintage clothing shop downtown, just trying to make some extra cash for rent. It's usually chill, just me, my coffee, and about 15 creepy looking mannequins. But tonight is different. I was sweeping near the front display when I noticed the mannequin we call the Duchess. She's this tall plastic figure in a 1950s ballroom gown. I know for a fact she was facing the window when I clocked in, but when I turned around from the trash can, she was facing me. I froze. I thought, okay, Leo, you're just tired. Maybe the floor is slanted. I went to the back to put the broom away. I was gone for maybe 30 seconds. When I walked back out, the Duchess wasn't in the window anymore. She was standing in the middle of the aisle. My heart started thudding against my chest. There's no way. No one else has a key. The alarm is still set. Is someone there? I called out. My voice sounded tiny in that big, empty store. Then, creak. It was the sound of heavy plastic sliding across the floor. I whipped my flashlight toward the sound. The Duchess was gone again. But then I saw her, tucked behind a rack of leather jacket, only 2 feet away from me. Her head, it wasn't straight anymore. It was tilted at this horrible, jagged angle. And her wooden hand, it was reaching out like she was trying to grab my sleeve. I backed up, tripping over a display. And that's when I realized all of them were gone. The window was empty. The podiums were bare. I looked toward the back exit and they were all there. 10 mannequins standing in a semicircle, blocking the door. They weren't moving when I looked at them, but I could hear their plastic joints popping in the dark. I'm currently locked in the office, and guys, something is scratching at the door, and I just realised I left my keys on the register. The scratching stopped, and then came the thud. The office door flexed like someone was throwing their whole weight against it. I didn't have a weapon, just a heavy metal stapler and my phone. I counted to 3. 1, 2, 3. I kicked the door open and sprinted. The store was pitch black, except for the narrow beam of my phone light. They were everywhere, stiff, plastic, standing in poses that were unnatural. One was crouching on a display table. Another was hanging from the ceiling rafters like a massive spider. I saw my keys, sitting right there on the glass counter. I lunged for them, but as my fingers brushed the metal, a cold, hard, plastic hand clamped around my wrist. I screamed. I didn't look back. I slammed the metal stapler down on its arm with everything I had. Crack! The plastic shattered, and I felt this icy breath on my ear, a voice like rubbing 2 pieces of sandpaper together. Hissed, stay and play. I grabbed the keys, scrambled to the front door, and fumbled with the lock. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped them twice. Finally, the bolt clicked. The glass door swung open, and I fell onto the sidewalk. I didn't stop until I was across the street, under the bright glow of the neon pharmacy sign. The store was silent. I looked back, and every single mannequin was back in the front window, perfectly still, facing the street. But when I looked down at my wrist, there weren't just bruises. There were fingerprints etched deep into my skin, like they'd been burned there. And guys, it's been 3 hours since I got home, and I can still hear that popping sound of plastic joints coming from inside my own bedroom closet.